It is James Lights Out Lilley getting ready to fight on February 24th, BKFC 36, and it's quickly approaching, James. So just let us know how you're feeling. A couple days out from stepping back in there.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm in a weird place at the minute. It's the training's done. The weight's good. It's just waiting wrong now, and that's probably the hardest bit, and probably not the easiest person to live with at the moment. Being grouchy around the kids and the wife and that. So, yeah, I just really anticipating getting out there and excited, but real life kind of gets in the way.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's such a weird balance, right, in this profession and doing this because obviously from the outside looking in, we think of you as these athletes, these gladiators going into their fight, but you still have real life to balance as well. I mean, gosh, what a difficult challenge that is to try to be a normal person and yet also a completely abnormal person in there when it comes time to compete.
Yeah, it's it's a very strange world we live in. It's like I've taken my kids swimming tonight for their lessons, and my phone's going off about different things with fighting. It's really hard to balance the two, and I'm not a full time fighter. I'm hoping hoping the next couple of wins might make me a full time fighter, but as you said, it's a weird balance and it's a weird lifestyle because you get people asking you about the fight all the time, and it's not, although it's on your mind all the time, you don't really want to talk about it all the time. And then my kids are kind of they live in a different world again. It's a crazy balance.
That's so all right, so let's talk about balance, right? You were kind of an early adopter, I would say, of bare knuckle boxing, right? I mean, obviously it's a centuries old sport, but it's kind of had this renaissance as of late. But I mean, you were having an MMA career and kind of a burgeoning MMA career, and then you grabbed onto this in the very early days. So what was it about bare knuckle that appealed to you that you thought, I'm gonna go try that?
Um, Striking has always been my strongest point. I came from pro boxing and went into MMA because I kind of fell out of love with boxing. That there's boxing in the UK is very political, very the way it's set, and I kind of fell a bit out of love with it. And I loved MMA, I loved the rawness of it. And then I heard about bare knuckle boxing re-emerging in the UK, growing in and having like a professional rule set, having doctors there, being licensed, being in big arenas. And I watched a couple of fights, probably like everyone else in the early days, where people were fighting in like back gardens and, in abandoned buildings and hay bales. But when I watched the new emergence, where they're in, like arenas with professional rules set, I thought this is a bit of me. Um, it would go to my positives more. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. And I think competing in both boxing and MMA has helped me as with the little gloves on. I had to adjust my style, and I think it's just flourished from there.
So what's interesting is, the MMA career, you were having some setbacks, but you got to a good point. I mean, fighting for Cage Warriors, obviously a very reputable brand over there, but you were having some setbacks. And then bare knuckle, it's like you took to it. You had a ton of success in it. So I guess, was that an adjustment to say, like, I'm going to chase this path? Or, I mean, do you still feel like you want to compete in MMA as well? I just wonder kind of what the thoughts were on kind of maybe shifting over from MMA to bare knuckle.
I'm a kind of guy who likes I just like fighting. It doesn't matter what the sport is or what the rules set. I'll try my hand at anything. And a couple of years back, one of my friends sat me down. He said, "Well, what are your goals?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have any goals. I just want to get as many fights in as possible." And he said that's not the right way to approach it. And then I could see myself getting to, because my biggest goal in all my fighting career is to fight, the toughest guy I can, the best guy. To get to that, you got to climb rankings. And I could see myself excelling a bit at bare knuckle over the MMA, and then that's what really took a hold because I was seeing these guys at the top and thinking, right, to get to them now, I've got to win this next fight, and that's kind of the position I'm in with BKFC. I want to fight Palomino because he's the pound for pound. So to do that, I got to get past Bobby Taylor. So I kind of set myself goals over the last couple of years, and I think grabbing hold of my talents and using them in bare knuckle has worked for me. And yeah, I'm really excited about the next few years in the sport.
I love it. Well, as you said, the next challenge is Bobby Taylor to get you on that journey. Talk to me about what you think about Bobby. I mean, does he present any challenges, anything unique? Talk to me about what you think about the matchup.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. I honestly did think it was going to happen because there was a couple of stirrings on social media saying, "Oh, Bobby Taylor next," and because he's on a good win run, but he's a tough opponent. He can bang. And one of the things that people don't realize is he's 5-1, which means he's had 6 bare knuckle fights. So experience in bare knuckle is, you can't train bare knuckle. You can't go spar in bare knuckle. You can't simulate the fight. So the more experience you get, the better the guys are getting. So like him being 5-1, 6 fights, that in itself is a danger. It's not like a guy who's coming from pro boxing and having to adjust, or pro MMA and having to adjust. He's had 6 fights, so he's bedded in. He's on a good run. He's tough. He's dangerous. He can bang. He's strong. It's going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be a clash of styles. I'm really looking forward to it. This is every fight from this point on, as long as I keep winning, should be tougher because I'm up in my level. I'm up in my game. So that's what we want. We want the tougher fights. I feel now at the moment that I am a professional athlete. I am a professional fighter rather than bouncing between fights. And this is that level that I need to get to.
Well stated. Well stated. I did want to ask you as well. I mean, as this bare knuckle journey is going on, your social media, it's funny, right? You list yourself as a warrior poet. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. But then I'm looking at you're actually going to like poetry readings and things like this. So you're not just putting warrior poet in there as some ironic thing to say. So talk to me. Is there a passion for poetry outside of the passion for fighting as well?
Yeah, well, I've done the two since a young age, but it was only during the lockdown that when there was no gyms and no fighting and nothing happening, that I kind of fell back in love with poetry. And I was submitting pieces to quite a few online journals and getting a bit of success with some of my work being published. And then it kind of blew up, and I've had like a couple of collections published. I've had work published. I was voted like Poet of the Year for this American magazine. And the next stage then was these live readings. Avon Ales, this place in Wales, asked me, did I want to host an event? And I can't believe it's weird because the bare knuckle and the poetry have both gone on the up trajectory together, and you get them asking me about bare knuckle in the poetry circles, and then in the bare knuckle circles asking me about poetry. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's so wild, man. I love it. What's more nerve-wracking, walking out there for a fist fight or getting up on stage about to read in front of a live audience?
Definitely reading. It's weird because like in fighting, I don't feel like many emotions in there. I kind of get like this calmness and I'm relaxed, and I'm loving every minute of it. But with the poetry, because a lot of it is about myself and maybe the darker days, loss of friends and stuff like that. You're basically bearing your soul, so you're telling people your secrets. It's basically like a little bit like therapy, but you're saying it in front of an audience. So yeah, it's a lot more nerve-wracking, but I also think the fighting has helped me because I don't mind standing up in front of people and telling them the truth about me. And fighting's helped with me that a lot. I don't think I would have done one without the other.
Plus, if they talk trash to you, you can kick their ass, so that's good.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, that's what I love about this sport, man. It's the type of people like yourself that are involved in. There's so much more that happens outside of the ring or the cage than just what happens inside it. But of course, big fight coming up, as you said, man. Things are coming together. You're on a nice track right now. So talk to me. As you said, tough opponent, but you win here. You keep the success going. You're looking at the top. So what's next? I mean, do you start calling out top names? Do you just wait and let the organization kind of map it out for you? What's the plan for you?
I think they recently changed the rankings, and I've gone up to the top now. So I think a win here, number 1 versus number 3. I can't see anything else other than a title shot next. I don't know who the champ, who else he could face really. Mendes is the big name and everyone wants Mendes, but he's fallen down the rankings now. I think a win against Bobby Taylor, that would make me 3-0 in bare knuckle, 8-0 and 1 draw overall in BKFC and then overall. So I can't see anything else other than a title shot. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for the champ, for Palomino and what he's done for the sport and himself. And he's in a position now where, I think he's done 5 title defenses. He can kind of choose what he wants to do next. There's no emphasis on him having to defend against the number 1. But I think winning against Bobby puts me in that position where I've got a good, I got good evidence that I should be next. But like I said, I'm happy just to wait my time. And if I have to go through the whole division before I get a title shot, I'll do that. So I'll just keep picking up paychecks.
I love it. Well, I tend to think a title shot is on the line as well. So we'll see. It's February 24th. It's BKFC 36. Of course, it's on the BKFC app, as everybody knows by now. The best value in combat sports, as David Feldman likes to say. James Lilley, best of luck in the rest of your preparation, your travel, and we look forward to the event.
Thank you. See you soon, guys.